Hello and welcome to Gatecrashers. And today we are looking at Gate 52. In human design, Gate 52 is the gate of inaction, keeping still a mountain, the still point of concentration. In this Gatecrashers episode, we explore this energy through the character of Edmund. This series brings human design gates to life in a way that is told through story, through pattern, and through my lived experience and my witnessing of the world. Gate 52 explores the gift of stillness as an active, purposeful state, the collective logic that repeats and refines in search of humanity's future, the shadow of the perfection that is always just out of reach. If you're studying human design or exploring your own chart, then this story may help you recognize the energy of Gate 52 in real life. Nobody has ever called him Eddie. And this is not because nobody has ever tried. People do try occasionally. New colleagues, well-meaning acquaintances, the kind of people who shorten every name on first meeting as a gesture of warmth, familiarity. Edmund receives these attempts with the same expression he brings to most things, considered and faintly immovable. Eddie, he will say very pleasantly, is not quite right. My name is Edmund. Thank you. And that is the end of that. Edmund works in the way that a mountain works, by being entirely, unbudgeably present. He's not a fast mover. He's never been a fast mover. He wasn't a fast mover as a child when his mother would find him at the kitchen table after a long breakfast had ended and he was still sitting with a problem that he'd been given the previous evening, turning it over with the particular unhurried focus of someone who doesn't consider a thing finished until it actually is. His mother, to her credit, mostly left him to it. Gate 52 lives in the root center. The root is the center of pressure, existential, physical, the drive to act, to move, to resolve. It is the center that says something must be done and means it on a cellular level. And Gate 52, which lives in the pressure center, says, yeah, something must be done. And the something, right now, is stillness. It's no small thing to be still inside pressure, to hold the mountain position while everything around you is moving, while the world is tapping its foot and checking its watch and suggesting, not for the first time, that perhaps you could just go with what you've got. This requires a particular kind of strength, the strength that does not announce itself, the strength that simply remains. Gate 52 connects through the channel of, excuse me, concentration to Gate 9 in the sacral, the gate of focus. Gate 9 is the detailed, attentive, extraordinary ability to concentrate energy on the particular. And Gate 52 is the still point that makes that focus possible. You cannot truly concentrate while moving. The microscope must be steady. The mountain doesn't adjust its position because the view would be better from slightly to the left. This is collective logic circuitry, which means Edmund's stillness is not for himself. It is not a personal contemplation. It's not the stillness of a monk seeking inner peace. No, it's in the service of something larger. And logic repeats, it checks, it runs the sequence again and then again. And then again, looking for the flaw, looking for the weakness, looking for the place where the reasoning doesn't hold. Not because of any anxiety, but because it understands with an incredible clarity, really, that's almost geological in its patience, that humanity's safe passage into the future depends on getting this right. This bridge must hold. This calculation must be correct. This report must say what's actually true. And then sharing this accuracy is what matters. Edmund checks his work and then he checks it again. And this is not a personality quirk. It's a function of who he is. He is professionally an engineer. This will surprise no one. He works in a kind of detail that most people find kind of airless, but Edmund finds it clarifying. The precise, unambiguous language of load-bearing structures, of tolerances, of margins of safety. He is good at his job in a way that still water is deep, quietly and completely without needing to make a fuss about it. His colleagues have learned to read him. They have learned that when Edmund says he needs a little more time is exactly what he needs. They have learned that when Edmund says the thing is ready, the thing is ready. It's not approximately ready. It's not ready enough. It's not ready with the caveat that we'll revisit it later. Oh no, it's ready. And they have also learned through one or two early and very instructive experiences not to push. Edmund pushed is Edmund delayed. The mountain does not really respond well to being hurried. Now, the shadow of Gate 62 is not laziness. Truly, Edmund would find the accusation of being lazy genuinely baffling. The shadow is something more interesting and more insidious. It is the perfection that keeps receding. Her logic repeats in order to refine. This is its nature and its gift. But the refinement has no natural stopping point. There is always, in principle, one more pass to make. Perfection doesn't exist in the logic circuit. There's always one more variable that could be accounted for, one more way in which the current version falls short of the version it could theoretically become. The perfect solution is always visible just ahead, just around the next iteration. And so the iteration continues. Edmund has a project. He's had it for some time, and it's not a work project. Those have deadlines, external pressure, the usual brutality of a delivery date. This is a personal project, something he began years ago, something he genuinely believes in, something that is almost ready. And that's the thing, really. That's precisely the thing. It had been almost ready for longer than Edmund would care to specify. He's not avoiding it. He thinks about it constantly. He returns to it regularly, adds to it, refines it, finds the place where the logic doesn't quite hold, and he tightens it. And then he finds another place and he tightens that. And the project is objectively significantly better than it was 2 years ago. It also objectively is still not finished. The gap between where it is and where it needs to be is smaller than it has ever been, and somehow no easier to close. Edmund sits with this in his own particular mountainous way, without any drama. There is another kind of Gate 52, someone who carries the pressure of the root center without the stillness. to anchor it. Someone who feels the drive, the existential push to act and resolve and move without the still point that makes concentration possible. This person fidgets, not always physically, sometimes physically, but mentally fidgeting. They start things and then maybe their attention slides. Or they sit down to focus and they discover that they have checked their tea. They've got to check their tea. They've checked their tea. My tea is empty. Check their phone and they've made a diary note and they've done this and they've responded to an email there and they've all these little things. 40 minutes have passed and the thing has not been done. The pressure is real, but it has no landing place, no mountain to collect itself against. They look at Edmund and he is steady and focused and immovable, with something between admiration and complete bewilderment in their eyes. One day, one fairly ordinary day, Edmund is sitting with his project and something happens that has not happened before. He reaches the place where it usually isn't quite right, and he finds that it is, in fact, right. The logic holds, all of it. He checks again. It holds. He makes himself a cup of tea. He comes back and checks again. It holds. He sits with this for a while. Outside, it's getting dark. The house is quiet. Edmund is still, more still than usual, which is saying something. And in the stillness, there is something he doesn't quite have a word for. Not excitement exactly, something quieter. The particular satisfaction of a structure that is sound, a thing that will bear the weight it was built to bear. He doesn't rush. He finishes his tea. He closes the document. He opens it again the next morning because one more check never hurt anyone and finds it still holds. And then Edmund, never hurried, never rushed, completely and finally certain, begins to move. Gate 52 is the gate of inaction. Its gift is not stillness for its own sake. Stillness is only the gift when it is protecting something real, building something true, holding the conditions for concentration to do its work. The mountain does not move because the mountain understands that some things can only be built from a fixed point. The future is not served by rushing into it. The logic must hold. Edmund knows this. Edmund has always known this. He was just checking. Thank you for joining me on this journey around the wheel again, for meeting Edmund with me, and maybe for sitting still like a mountain while I tell you about him. And until we meet again in the next gate, as always, love yourself wildly and go gently.